Starfleet Underground. Every week, we'll take a look at the latest Star Trek news and then check out a current or classic episode of Star Trek. Is Captain Archer making a log or just talking to his dog? Is T'Pol a gas giant? Is it harassment when a Suliban kisses you, or is that just a test? Will you double your pleasure with double phasers? Why shouldn't you let the engineer drive? And don't even get us started on Klingon Continuity. And I swear I parked the shuttle-pod right over here.
That was really interesting, Patty. I never thought somebody could do that with the Tribbles. That's pretty cool.
I mean, they're pretty ambidextrous.
I know. It was just unbelievable. I mean, I've seen people use the triple configuration for all kinds of things, but not to make a bikini out of them.
Yeah.
It's really wild. It's pretty... Oh, wait.
Tribbles is Merkins. Gross.
Figures you'd say gross. Oh, wait. The light's on. We got to get started. Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome back to Starfleet Underground. We're here today with the full crew, and Rocky's sister is still on board.
Woo-hoo.
I mean, he hasn't been able to chase her out, and Patrick couldn't even with his best flatulation. So
wait a minute. I thought I shoved her in an airlock and blew her out.
No, you blew something out, but it wasn't her.
Okay.
Thank God.
So thanks, everybody, for joining in. This is going to be the second part of our two-part first episode of Enterprise. And before we get started, I have to get rid of our business here, which is we're being brought to you by Section 31. Why they keep paying for us, we really don't know, and we don't care. We get a new starship out of it and everything else. Second, all you little kiddies, if you're around, gather around. Gather around. You got Captain Nathan's going to tell you something important. Get the fuck out of the room. You're not supposed to be listening to us. We're way above your age.
No, kids.
Get the fuck out.
Leave right now. Because if you don't leave, we're going to send the Gorn to hide under your bed and eat your toes. So you're not going to want that. So leave the room.
Human children toes are quite the Gorn delicacy.
They love it. They eat them up like jalapeno poppers.
They have a certain type of crunch.
Especially when they're dirty and under the nails is black.
Yeah. Gnarly
They
toes.
love it like that. And if you have long toenails, they'll clip it off and use it to pick their teeth.
Ugh.
Okay, we have a full crew here today. First off, again, everyone knows my name is Nathan. I'm captain of this vessel here. We have our science officer.
Hi, I'm Heather Ferris. I'm the science officer. And Captain, I need security down here. There's this old white guy like sitting in the corner with mittens and this jacket on staring at me, and I don't know what to do.
He's been around everywhere lately. I don't know what the hell is that. There's rumors that he's part of the Q continuum, but he hasn't done anything other than blink in. So I don't know what's going on. So we'll see. Patrick said something about him mumbling about universal health care that's truly universal.
Okay.
And speaking of which, our computer guy.
Hey, I'm Patrick. I'm the computer guy. I'm also number 1, and I'm the foreign species liaison. What's going on?
And then we have our winner of the O'Brien Award, our engineer.
I just discovered that my photo album just got photobombed by that same guy. He's in the background of every one of my photos.
It's really funny how he inserted himself in photos that were taken years ago. All of a sudden, he shows up.
Yeah, in the history books. He's in the history books, too.
He's everywhere.
I never noticed him before.
It's wild. I'm telling you, I think he's part of the continuum of Guardians of Forever.
Must be.
What are the others? Except his name's not Carl. So the only thing I think I heard him say is when we were going by the calf the other day, and I could have sworn I heard somebody went, "Feel the burn." So I don't know if that was him or not.
That was someone who had an STD.
I thought that was someone talking about my cooking.
One of Patrick's dates. And lastly, but not least, of course, we have Rocky's sister, Patty.
You forgot Rocky.
No, I didn't. Rocky commented. Oh, did you introduce yourself?
Let me officially
No,
say.
he just talked about an old man in his pictures.
Oh, that's true. Go ahead. Well, you two are a package deal.
Hi, my name is Rocky, and I am the engineer of this Starfleet podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
And our starship.
And thank you for doing that trick the other night in the after dinner, the dessert thing. When you went, watch me pull a Bernie out of my hat. Nothing up my sleeve.
Bristol.
I thought he said Bernie out of my ass, but what?
No, that was your trick, and that was during breakfast. Get it right.
Oh, man.
So thanks, everybody, for joining in. First, we're going to go, do we have any corrections?
Yes,
We do.
Two.
I do. Yep. So last week I said that it was the show title was Broken Bow. It's not bow like in bow of the ship. It's more like a bow and arrow. So it's Broken Bow. And I just wanted to make that correction.
Well, how dare you mispronounce that?
Potato, bow, bow.
Serious.
You see, what happened is I speak Heather. So as soon as you said it, my mind translated to what it was anyway. And yeah,
I mean,
so
you got the
it's all good.
spelling right. So spelling's worth 7 points out of 10. So
Woohoo.
Yeah, everybody knows that Heather has this neat way of freaky deaky changing words. So that worked
everybody
out.
knows on our podcast, if you listen closely enough, we almost never get all names right.
Well,
I butcher
I
all
do,
words.
but that's, that's beside the point.
I admit I don't.
And speaking of which, we want to give a special shout out to the people that makes our premiere. Every time the podcast is up there on the live feed when we're live streaming for the first time, they're always there. Forgive me because I don't remember everybody's name all the time. So I'm sure Heather will help me out, or you, Rocky. This is a hey to Dom. Thank you, Dom, for always joining us from the 21st century.
Hi, Dom.
And we have who are the other people?
Pimpin' Dat Ho is a big one. I like
He's
that
another
name.
one.
Isn't so funny.
And he always shows up with an entourage of hoes. So
That's
there's
actually
that.
me. So
Pimpin' ain't easy, though.
Pimpin' ain't easy.
I think we forgot Rocky's sister. She didn't get
No,
to
we
introduce
didn't.
herself.
Well, I mentioned her in passing.
Yeah.
Patty,
Hi.
introduce yourself to the crowd, just in case.
Hey, Patty.
I'm Rocky's little sister, Patty.
What's up, Patty?
There you go. I like tribbles, cats, dogs, and sword fighting.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm
Yeah,
going
she
to
was-
leave the sword fighting one alone.
She was fighting
Yeah.
with the gentleman with the mittens, but he wouldn't fight back. He just sit there and looked at her.
He just sat there.
I know. And he said that if you hurt me, I have universal health care.
He just looked like an angry grandpa that wanted me off his lawn, so I just left.
His stare was his weapon. The way he stared at you, that was the weapon right there.
I was like, well, what's the point? Why? All right, I'll leave.
And then he had this manila envelope. And it's like, what's in the envelope? And he just stared.
What's in
Wouldn't
the
tell,
envelope?
What's in the envelope?
I'm glad as long as he didn't go, what's in the box? We're good.
Paper cuts, that's all.
Well, I do have some news. It's not Star Trek related, but
Did you
it is-
even wait till I ask if anybody has any news, Mr. I'm going to jump in with both feet?
I got news.
Well, you kept skipping over people, so I figured might as well.
Patrick's
Oh
taking
my-
lead.
God, what's the matter? The Tribble didn't give you any last night? You're in a mood.
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
He's got
What's
business.
his news
So-
of the week? Anybody's getting any news, Patrick?
We lost someone in the sci-fi community. Mira Furlon, who played Delenn on Babylon
Yeah.
5, passed away yesterday, and that's really sad. She was like my favorite character on Babylon 5. You might know her from Lost as well. She was on Lost, but yeah, that was really sad.
I agree. She was my favorite also. And it's sad news. Heather, you have anything for us?
Hi, Captain. So Bernie Sanders went viral this week with his winter coat and mittens, and luckily he was included in several iconic Star Trek scenes. So we attached a link to the show notes where you can go check it out, and you can see all of these creative and hilarious images.
Outstanding. How about you, Rocky? You have anything?
No news is good news this week. So I'm looking happy because it's good news because I don't have any news.
And Patty, since you're aboard the ship now,
Yes,
and
sir.
you've been here for a couple of weeks, you have any news for us, or you just been enjoying the facilities?
I've been enjoying watching how things operate. You're all so fascinating.
It's so cool. Thank you so much. I actually have news before you try to take over again, Patrick, unless you found something else.
Go ahead.
Those of you who enjoy Kate Mulgrew and have her book, The Autobiography of Catherine Janeway, there's some good news for you. She's going to release the audio version with her narrating the entire book. So think about how cool to hear Captain Janeway go over her entire life in her voice.
Love it.
That's going to be pretty amazing.
I'm so glad they got her to do that. That is so awesome.
That's really cool.
It is. And you were going to say there, Captain? Oh, not Captain. Oh, my God.
Well, I am a captain
wow.
on another ship, so.
Go ahead.
It's also not Star Trek related, but he was a giant in the news business. Larry King has passed. For those who might know who he is, you know.
Yep.
That was sad.
Yep.
Waking up to that.
Yeah, he was hospitalized earlier.
For COVID, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was been around for a while. I mean, you got to look at Larry King as, I mean, even growing up, I'm like, who the hell's this old guy is on CNN all the time?
He's like Guinan.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Larry King's been around so long and has so much experience. He could talk to anything about anybody, you know, to anyone. And the man had a career like that in radio and TV for decades. If you didn't even watch him, the fact is he was a legend, and good on him. And he also had a lot of ex-wives. So go Larry, you know?
Lots of alimony.
Well, that's for certain.
He rode the sucker hard until the wheels fell off. I mean, he really did. So good on Larry King.
Why he had to keep working as long as he did to pay that alimony. That's it for my news.
Oh, I could just do a quick little shout out. I did actually get a chance to watch a little bit of BioTrekkie with the Admiral. I watched the first couple episodes of them on YouTube, and I just got to say, it's wonderful. It's the one with Jane Brooke from Discovery, you know, who Admiral Cornwell, not Cornholio.
Cornholio.
Yeah, it was cool hearing about how she actually was a bit into biology in college for like a half second, and then she discovered that wasn't quite the thing for her. But just the fact of doing that and being at one of the conventions and meeting the other guy, Mohammed Noor, who is a professor in college of biology and many other sciences. He does many of the Star Trek classes. So if you've heard of a Star Trek class like Biology Through the Eyes of Star Trek, that kind of thing, he's the one doing that stuff. So that I didn't realize that's who he was. He was that guy, you know, one of those guys that are out there teaching science through the eyes of Star Trek. I think that's wonderful. There's Trekkie fans that really want to get in and know and understand the science. So they were talking about all the various things in some of the episodes and how maybe the science relates to. And then she would bring in the point of view from the actress in the show. What's it like to act to something on a stick versus a special effect, you know? To hear that kind of the talk back and forth between the two. It was fun to listen to. I highly recommend subscribing to their YouTube and getting into their show.
But women have lots of practice talking to inanimate objects when they're having sex with their husbands.
What was that YouTube channel again?
BioTrekkie?
BioTrekkie. You should be able to find it via BioTrekkie.
There's actually an article on TrekMovie.com about it's All Access Star Trek talks to Mohammed Noor and Jane Brooke about Discovery Science and Cornwell's fate. It's the title.
Yeah, and it was fun hearing them. They were talking about how they were looking at Molly. You remember the transworm in Discovery, the ginormous thing that had a wonderful appetite but didn't actually chew Michael Burnham up. They were talking about how is it to act with Molly on a stick, because that's basically what they had to act to, and all the effects work the actress would probably have to go through to get through something like to survive that scene.
Well, if you're on Molly, then you're probably having a really good time.
Yeah. And that was an interesting name to name that the creature.
Just don't look at the stick. That's all you have to remember. Just don't look at the stick.
Don't stare at the stick.
Don't stare at it.
But he was actually, you know, hypothesizing exactly what a worm is and how a worm breathes, because that obviously Molly could breathe. You were hearing breathing sounds and screaming sounds. How you look at the science of, well, you know, an insect is this, but a worm is this, and what the parts have to enable a transworm to be able to chew up a whole, you know, and eat like 7 or 8 guys at once. You know, it's just like, it was kind of cool hearing the scientific side of it. If you don't think that way, it's neat to hear that.
Did they talk about the size of the worm's stomach and how 7 guys could fit in it?
Yeah, and how the possibility of whether or not how Burnham was or was not eaten in respect too.
That's so cool.
Yeah, hearing stuff like that with the BioTrekkie was really, really cool. So thumbs up to the BioTrekkie.
Outstanding. I'm going to have to definitely listen to that because I'm all about the science. So that's going to be pretty cool. Since it seems like we're on our end of our news cycle, Heather, you're up.
Aye, Captain. So we are doing Star Trek Enterprise Season 1, Episode 1, Broken Bow, Part 2. Again, first aired on September 26, 2001. It was a really long episode, so we broke it up into 2 parts. Now, Act 4, the Suliban Assault. After being captured, the captain is sexually assaulted, but for a good reason. The Suliban needs close personal contact in order to tell if he was lying or not, during which a surprise attack occurs. As our beloved Enterprise crew runs away, they lose valuable time because they just can't seem to find their car in the parking lot. The captain is wounded, and T'Pol takes command of the Enterprise. I hate it when you can't find your car.
That was definitely interesting. They kind of, I guess, took that from the old 20th century when people used to use a lot of false eyelashes, wigs, everything else. Because it's kind of like going on a date and you get this gorgeous woman, and in the morning you wake up, you find out that her boobs were padded. You find out that she had butt plugs in. She had like fake eyebrows. She had a wig.
It's Spanx.
She had Spanx and she had the whole works. They have a thing in the movie, Because I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka, where it was like that, where the guy met this gorgeous girl. And when she gets ready, she's like, okay, we're being real. And she removes her hair, removes her eyes, removes her eyelids, removes her boobs, removes her butts, and removes a leg. And he's like, oh, I gotta go. And she's like, don't make me hop after you.
That was the funniest shit. Oh, classic movie, man. That's good shit. Oh, man. Yeah. It's like, there's a reason why they take so damn long to get ready when you're waiting for them. There's a reason.
Well, don't ask us to be real if you don't want us to be real.
That's right.
Okay, be careful what you ask for.
Under pounds of makeup is not being real.
This is true.
You don't need a makeup technician to do your makeup job just to go out on a date. I mean, really.
Some people do.
And to give it to Captain Archer before she changed,
would you call it the lie detecting technique? I mean, golly, man, it makes me because I'm such a horrible liar. It's kind of obvious, but if I could get lie detection like that, boy.
But he was good. He remembers Dr. Phlox not to sleep with the aliens because she was all up in the grill trying her best.
Yeah, you don't know what kind of cooties she got. And, as being someone who's part of the COVID world right now, like, please keep your distance.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep your scaly Suliban tongue in your mouth.
Yeah. He was assaulted. He really was. He was like,
yep.
No.
That was sexual assault right there.
It was.
HR.
He said no means no.
I mean, can you imagine a Suliban of a JJ? I mean, I'm thinking Tina Turner. We like it rough. Get it? From the song.
Yeah, he could have said like no means no.
No means no.
It was definitely interesting. She was very capable. I was quite put off when she got shot.
Oh, yeah. It was interesting that she brought a little a tidbit of the mystery to the Suliban, or at least this particular part of the Suliban, because they were talking about how maybe they lost perspective on evolution because they were, all about getting augmented. So
kind of like the Borg.
That was kind of interesting, especially, that time of, we don't talk as much about DNA stuff nowadays, but it was hugely popular back then. I mean, this so many years after Jurassic Park, where you talk about reviving the dinosaurs through DNA. You talk about if you have the ability to say maybe fix a birth defect before you're even born, you can go in and fix it up, correct the code, as it were. And what are the ramifications of that kind of manipulation? It brings that whole interesting idea to the perspective of these Suliban are, because they're really big on evolution by any means necessary. So it's interesting ideas.
Well, we get a chance to see a little bit of that when you had the eugenics wars with Khan. You had people that were genetically modified to be stronger, faster, more intelligent. And they decided, rest of you are peons. We're going to take the world over. And that's the extent.
It's a question sci-fi has been talking about for a bit in Star Trek.
I like what Archer said after she kissed him and then she changed into her natural state. And he's like, that's never happened before.
What has happened before? Archer's probably, he's only, this is beginning captain years for Archer. Think of all the adventures he's about to go on.
Yeah, he doesn't realize the captain's chair comes with perks. Kirk realized that. He doesn't realize that yet.
Oh, yeah.
I think because Archer's a little bit older than Kirk, like, he's been around the block, so to speak. He knows. He gets it.
Yeah, but he only got it from Earth women.
He's probably got men and women. Yeah, men and women have probably just been throwing themselves at him. Maybe a Vulcan. You never know.
No, he couldn't stand Vulcans.
No, he wouldn't have had a Vulcan.
No, he couldn't stand the Vulcans. Yeah.
And the Vulcans, he wasn't very big on Vulcans, so.
No.
He didn't have a taste for green blood.
No. And the fact that they let him on that cool elevator, which it was just a flying disc that went up to the roof.
Somebody got to put some handrails in that fucker.
And T'Pol was right. Trip's like, we parked over here. She's like, nope, it's over here.
T'Pol was not right. That was Trip. Trip knew which way to go.
Don't they know what elevators are for? I mean, elevators are to get your shit on. You need handrails. There has to be handrails. They knew that in the turbo lift.
I was surprised, some of the elevators I get into, they got mirrors everywhere. I'm like, what's up with that?
They know. Those are the elevators that know. They're like, people are going to have sex in this elevator. We're putting mirrors up.
But I was waiting for them when that elevator went shooting to the top. I was waiting for them to pop out like Pop-Tarts.
That had some momentum going, right?
Yeah, it did. But no, it slowed down enough. I was like, they're going to get ejected into the sky. This is going to be so funny.
The inertial dampeners.
It is interesting when you ride elevators, and you're not used to the big buildings, and then you get on one that's in a bigger building, and you're like, the sensation of speed between going from 0 to 450, like click like that, whoa, how fast are those suckers moving?
Yeah,
with no walls on your elevator, you get all the sensations of speed.
The elevators in the World Trade Center was like that. Whenever it was doing really fast and then it slowed down, you kind of almost felt like you were going to be weightless for a second because of the deceleration was so quick.
Ooh.
So that was pretty cool.
Sears Tower was like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, from someone on the West Coast to go to the other side, it's like, the first time you get in an elevator and your ears pop, like, whoa.
Have you guys ever been in the elevators in the Stratosphere in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Those are fast.
Yeah, those are also very fast.
Yeah.
That was when Bob Stupak had owned it. Mm-hmm. So I remember.
Have any of you ever been on the rides on top of the Stratosphere?
Yeah.
Every time I've gone, it was too windy.
I was on the Big Shot when I was 9 or 10 when it first opened up. Electricity went out in the neighborhood, so we had no electricity. And we had a babysitter, and she's like, I don't know what to do. So the Stratosphere just opened. She's like, oh, let's go to the Stratosphere. I'm 11. My sister is 6 years old, and she puts us on the Big Shot.
That's awesome.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, talk about freaking out.
There's the one ride where it's just the rail and the car, and it goes over the side and then down, and the car drops.
No.
I love roller coasters and thrill rides and everything. That one had me crying.
Well, now they let you just jump off the side of the thing, like attached to a rope or whatever. That you can just bungee off of it.
Really? No.
Whoa.
I got a story for you guys. So I was dealing table games one day, and one of my players came and sat down, and she told me she went on the claw that went over the side of the Stratosphere. And the thing about those rides that people don't know, if it gets over a certain miles per hour, the rides stop. So it got over that many miles per hour of wind, like how fast the wind is going, and it stopped as a security measure, but then it wouldn't start back up. So her claw was over the edge of the Stratosphere for over an hour, and they couldn't get it to go back. So what they ended up doing was using a crane with a little tiny platform, and they had to jump from their chair onto the platform over the freaking Las Vegas Boulevard, like under them. And they had to do it with all of them. And she's like, I will never go back there again.
Well, that's the scary thing is there's no fucking nets. So
can you imagine?
No net.
No.
Yeah.
That is nightmare material.
No. Do you know how much money you would be making if you own that crane right there? They don't have that many cranes like that in Vegas, right? That are just available to go hop over to the Stratosphere and pick someone up like that.
Do you know how many people, how many customers they lose every time that happens?
There's gotta be some lawsuits in there somewhere.
Yeah, there goes one splat.
I would be comped until I'm 100 if that had happened.
Right? Yeah, I would be so mad.
That would be one of those whoops. What do you mean whoops?
Like, why aren't we moving? And it's just you have the whole Las Vegas under you.
No.
Yeah, not gonna happen.
And they look like little ants. Speaking
of moving, Trip and T'Pol had to get moving because it was freaking cold up on that platform.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
nice
it was chill.
They went dressing.
I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to drop the reference. Yeah, they were going up very quickly in an elevator with no handrails. Reminded me of Spies Like Us, where they took the elevator trip down. It was 2 Pepsis to go. You guys remember that scene? That shit was fucking hilarious. If you've never seen Spies Like Us, it's a classic Chevy Chase movie.
You need to watch it.
Good with Dan Aykroyd, and it's classic shit right there. But that's what that kind of reminded me of too. Except they were going up in this particular instance.
One of the things scenes on the roof part is that this moment on the roof is when you begin to see the relationship slowly start to change with T'Pol and Archer. Because when they're under fire and the ship comes to get them, and first off, they flew over in the exhaust and T'Pol got blown because she's only 2 seconds big all over the place with the exhaust. But when Archer made everyone go to the ship, and she's like, no, you're the captain. You can't stay behind. You need to go. And he's like, didn't I tell you to leave? Go. And then he winds up getting shot.
She was hoping for another blowjob.
No.
Blowjob.
No.
Joke.
And then he's trying to make it to the ship and he got shot in the leg. So
the responsibility of a captain right there. That's what that is. You're responsible for your crew, even if it's a guest Vulcan on your ship.
Yeah.
You're responsible. I love that he went back for T'Pol like that.
And she wanted another blowjob, so he was responsible for giving her another one.
but also the classic, this stuff was just hilarious. It's like, no, we parked over here. And then they go, no, we parked over here. And like, okay, fine. Listen to the woman. She's right anyway. Might as well. And then they go over that way. And where's the shuttle pod? Oh, fuck. It was over there at all for the first place. Trip was right.
They totally lost their car.
And then on the opposite side for the humor was inside. Mayweather and Reed are like, God, where are they? I don't know. I wish we could read life signs. And you see the flashes of the fight, outside.
I remember this lightning in the snowstorm. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was classic.
And they're like, oh boy, then reaching out on comms and like, where are you guys at? We're up on the roof.
Check for Vulcan bio signs. Oh, I found her.
Yeah, she's right outside the window. The comedy of that whole aspect of it just knocked me on the floor because I just do not remember this the first time. I mean, it didn't stick with my memory over the years because that was just funny as all hell.
That was kind of funny.
The look on their faces when T'Pol said that she was taking command of the Enterprise, they were like, excuse me, what?
Mm-hmm.
That's and Archer's like, passing out at that point. But I mean, that's probably stuck with him as he's like, writhing in pain from the phaser wound and passing out. And like, and she's taking over. I'm like, oh, fail big time.
Damn.
Yeah, but that was definitely a interesting part. He's shot in the leg, he's wounded. And the whole thing is like, look at me. I am the captain now.
Yeah, man. Talk about drama.
Yeah, this should be the next section, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you guys want to move on?
Yeah.
I just want to shout out the phaser fight, though. The phaser fights were really, really action-packed. He was dual fisting the phasers.
Suliban can't aim for crap.
Dual fisting.
Yeah, he did the old West 2-gun.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the image I got in my head was wrong.
Double fisting.
With phasers.
But with phasers.
Double gunning.
So you're dual fisting, but with phasers in the hands. Yeah.
Not the fisters. We're not talking about the fisters. This isn't the Andorian weapons.
You're using the wrong terminology.
Why is it nobody but Starfleet can fucking hit a target?
They learned in the same place the stormtroopers
like literally
did.
Nobody else can hit a target.
Yeah. No training.
It's all training. When you're in Starfleet Academy, everyone's handed a phaser and taught to go to the holodeck program and nail the phaser targets as much as possible, as quickly as possible.
Man, I want that video game.
That would be fun.
Well, the one guy did hit, even though it's like you shot him in the legs. Like I was going for the crotch.
Right.
But they made it on board.
I actually had a phaser. I had laser tag flashbacks watching some of this scene. That was big in the 90s, ducking behind obstacles and pulling out and firing your laser gun. Oh, yeah.
You haven't done it since the 90s?
I haven't done a lot since the 90s.
I've done it as an adult, and those little 12-year-old shits are annoying.
Oh, yeah. No, you think you're hot shit. You're running through, you're like, oh, I'm badass.
Dude,
I'm scoring left and right.
Those 12-year-olds, man.
Oh, they nail you every time. Golly. It was like, how did you even get me that quick? It was like, jeez, those friggin' kids. That's why you want to go with your friends and not with some, everybody else.
Yeah, all your geriatric friends.
Right,
Dude, there was like 7 adults and the rest were 12-year-olds. And by the end of it, all of us were like, fuck kids.
You're like, everyone's walking back to the re-energizer thing. It's like, oh, I got to recharge my, because they shot me 4 times. So you're just like, you're looking at your buddies over there too. Look, that look on the face is like, it's legendary. Like, they got me too. Yeah.
What's funny is you have these 7 adults who look like they want to murder these little kids and you can't. And the kids are freaking thrilled, happy because they just beat the crap out of all these adults.
Yeah.
Hey, what we should do next time we're at time we go to Vegas for the convention, we should all find a paintball thing in Vegas and go.
That hurts.
You want to do that?
Epic.
That hurts.
Yeah.
Dude, escape room. We're doing an escape room together.
I've done those. Those are fun.
If they're smart, they'll make a Trek escape room.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Right?
there's an idea.
Ooh.
Hey,
I like
creation entertainment.
Get on it.
Listen to this idea we have right here.
You're in a Klingon
You're
prison
welcome.
or a Suliban internment camp or a Borg.
Oh, that would be
the
so
Borg
Borg
nest.
cube.
That would be
cool.
fucking awesome.
Well, you do multiple rooms, so you could have one Borg, one Klingon,
one
one,
Cardassian
Is
work
that like
camp.
multiple orgasms?
That would be awesome. One on the starship. That would be
We
cool.
need to move on.
Yeah, we do.
To be that person, but we
yeah,
got our
you're right.
time constraints.
So one last little thing. Archer passes out and has this little vision of the dad and the flying ship not quite flying right, and he gets the advice: don't be afraid of the wind, learn to trust it. And then you see a shot of T'Pol in his vision. T'Pol is the wind. Learn to
I
trust her.
thought she was a creepy ass stalker.
Oh, well, it turns out if you watched any of the Enterprise crew talk about being actors with the actress who plays T'Pol in some of the stuff they did,
Jolene
apparently,
Blacklock.
yes, Jolene apparently has an issue with farts.
That's fine.
What?
Did you guys not remember that?
No.
You guys skipped that panel, didn't you? Apparently, you don't want to get stuck in a turbo lift or a shuttle pod with her.
Oh,
That's funny.
man.
I mean,
That's
she's vegan.
hilarious.
So T'Pol is the wind.
Wow.
Learn to trust it. Good
Break
luck
and
with that.
wind. Break and wind. Look out.
That's stuck in my head. I hope I'm not transfixing that with some other actor, because I think that's, if I remember correctly, they said that about her. But anyway, you guys can carry on to the next scene.
Okay. Act 5, After Dark. So after returning to the Enterprise, the captain is sent to sickbay, and Trip and T'Pol engage in some softcore porn. I mean, decontamination. That's what they call it in 2151. Then, after 6 hours of being sucked on by a squid, the captain wakes up feeling refreshed, kinky, and ready to go. The Enterprise eventually drifts past a giant gas ball and... Did someone fart? Ooh, T'Pol's gonna be pissed. Yes, but they found trails. Those will lead them to exactly where they need to go.
Okay, did anyone else but me notice that after T'Pol and Trip were rubbing each other down and lathering each other up, T'Pol had some big old nip-ons.
Oh, they like it was.
That shot that
I feel
topped
like
off
they
the end
did
of the
that on
scene.
purpose.
Oh yeah, they must have been icing them suckers. What was going on with that?
I mean, it was cold
It's
in there.
obnoxious. It was like, okay, we get it. You're making it sexy. Can we move on?
And I did like to appreciate the cute little part where they grabbed each other's ears. I thought that was cute, because it was like, at first he did it because he's got to grab the pointy ear and help that. You missed a spot, you got to get it right there, get the decon gel right. And then she did his ear too, and it was so cute.
Well, and the way like when she's doing the front of her lower abdomen and sliding her fingers under her
That's
under her
close
panties.
ups.
I mean, it was like, I'm like, is this Skinemax After Dark? What? I mean,
That's totally what they were trying.
It's like you
for.
can't reach around and get the back of your back down there. I mean, you can't get that. You can't. I mean, come on. You can wipe your own ass. You can decon
I think
your
they
own
were
butt.
trying to go for that Starship Troopers, like, oh, it's just casual, boobs and ass in the air, nobody cares, but it's a thing.
Well,
It's just.
I got to hand it to the actors, though. They got all that dialogue in there. How do you get all that dialogue in and not sound distracted about the dialogue? So except you're rubbing each other with gel everywhere. I mean,
And you're doing
how do you
it
do that?
slowly and sensually. And
was
where the
probably a
hell
lot
is
of
all the like
ADR.
porno music?
It's
Yeah.
Trip must have had an ice pack in his shorts because, I mean, the way he walked out of there without a heart on,
It's called creative cutaway shot.
Well,
is how
they
do it.
probably had to do it over and over and over again. So while shooting it, it wasn't that sexy, but the way they cut it together, then the audience is like, ooh. I read a interesting tidbit that Jolene Blalock had a navel piercing and they couldn't remove it.
Is that
and
why
so
her belly button looks so
So
different?
she had to go into a tattoo shop or whatever, a piercing shop to get it removed. But she was in her Vulcan makeup, and it came up on Wikipedia several times.
Oh, that's cute.
Just for that scene. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh boy.
funny.
And meanwhile, Archer's got the osmotic Eel'll.
sucking on it, burning
Sucking his
cauterizing
leg.
his wound.
Yeah.
Definitely kinky.
He was a starfish.
He's into the Japanese stuff.
Yeah, he was definitely a starfish on his
flocks.
leg. which is kind of cool to see somebody he's using all holistic medicine.
Don't question the methods, because Phlox gets it done. It kind of gooey and yucky,
Phlox
but
knows what he's up to.
he takes care of business.
That's right.
So that was definitely a scene which they decided, look, this is a brand new Star Trek. How can we get both men and women interested?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll get the two. Everybody, all the male crew, take off your shirts. Let's look at all the male crew. Okay, he's got a six-pack ab. You're going to be in this scene. All right, Hoshi, I'm sorry.
Archer had some guns on him. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, he's got great legs.
Hoshi, sorry. Hoshi, you're not big enough on top. We need to. So... Okay.
Well, she had her sexy moment when they met her on Earth, and she was in her tank top and shorts teaching language.
Where she had her sexy moment was when they did the Mirror Universe side of things.
Yeah, that's
way
true.
Later, into the many seasons later. But oh my God, it's worth it.
That was probably revenge for her. He says, like, I'm going to prove that I can do sexy back. So it was.
Yes, she did.
It was cool. And the dialogue between T'Pol and Trip when she was going to take the ship back, she actually listened, which was way more than the Vulcans on Earth did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Archer's like, I thought you said this was a foolish mission, and she's like, this is a foolish mission, but she's on it 100%. So I totally enjoyed that. That's how a Vulcan gets your attention, is get on your side. When you have a Vulcan on your side, and it's the first time Archer's ever had that happen to him. I mean, he literally asked, and when he's doing his log, that was also a classic scene. But he's like, have you ever known a Vulcan to return a favor? I mean, that's never happened to him before.
When he's doing his log and he says, wait, computer, pause.
He keeps pausing the log and he keeps talking, and you realize, oh, that's what he's doing. He's logging it to his dog.
Well, my Echo said, I don't know that one.
Oh, your Echo was listening again. Oh,
yes. Okay. Because it's set to respond to the word computer. So he's like, computer, pause. I don't know that one.
That's funny.
Oh, man.
It showed that T'Pol, for being Vulcan, actually was beginning to touch her emotional side. Because the objection that Trip gave wasn't exactly logical. It was coming from a point of feeling. And for him to make her try to put herself into Archer's place. And she did that. She was able to understand, okay, I get it. I get this. And I thought that was a really big development between her and him, as well as her and Archer.
Mm-hmm.
Feelings. Nothing more than feelings.
That's decontamination.
Well, yeah. Oh. I thought that great big gas giant number 7. Woo.
That was a smelly one.
Mm-hmm. Hot, smelly gas.
The class 6 is it's a 7. Yeah.
T'Pol was hustling ass when she smelled that.
Well, she got the computer to point it out. It was she was hot on that trail.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I was wondering, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Now I realize the warp trail.
14 ships in the last 6 hours.
Oh my God.
They got the particles together. That was cool how they put it all together, and they're like trying to solve the mystery of where did everybody go. And
have you been drinking Heather's tea again, Captain?
No, and they were working together, whereas before they were really kind of tearing each other apart.
Yeah. Heather, did you make him tea again?
No tea, coffee.
I think you had some tea, Captain.
No, but then I think the next part is when we finally get to where they're hiding.
On the Helix.
So, Heather?
Act 6, Enemy Territory. Enterprise arrives at the planet to find a welcoming committee. Using a grappling hook, they capture one of the enemy ships, and Trip and Archer use it to infiltrate the space stacks. The Klingon is rescued, a bomb is set, and as they're waiting for it to explode, Trip takes the Klingon back to the Enterprise, and Archer decides to say, because he has a death sentence?
That was actually kind of cool. It reminded me a little bit of the old submarine movie they used to have called Run Silent, Run Deep.
Oh, such a classic.
Which was a really good movie there.
Good book, too.
Because very good.
Who's running deep?
And you have the ship. You are. The ship is trying to hide amongst where they can't be seen by sensors or detected. And they're trying to figure a way. These little bastard balls are hitting them left and right everywhere.
I love being hit by bastard balls.
Yeah, I know you do.
Is this a routine? Have you guys put this together ahead of time?
No. So it was cool. And then sensors are still really young. They couldn't differentiate whose was what biosigns.
Well, I thought it was really interesting that they were so hesitant to use the transporter too.
That was
it's a
funny.
new technology.
Yeah, they were like, what? No.
Yeah, that was plan B. That wasn't plan A. It was like, today it would be plan A. It was like, oh, we're going to beam in first and beam out. We don't have to send a shuttle pod to go get you. But no, this time is like, they don't even put the dog through the thing.
No, No, he doesn't even trust it. No. And speaking of lost technologies, Hisho was saying, hey, you might want to think about, Hoshi. Hisho? Hoshi.
Hoshi.
Dude, I totally mixed those two vowels.
No worries.
She said, you might want to think about recommending some seatbelts when we get home. Nobody listened to her. Lost technology.
Isn't that what the inertial dampeners are for?
It's supposed to be.
You know, it's the same thing. It's like technology is like our plan A versus our plan B. It's like, of course we're gonna have seatbelts on the ship. No. We got inertial dampeners. They solve all the problems. We're not gonna need seatbelts.
You know what's great is last night I was rewatching Star Trek Beyond, and of course it's a parallel universe, but the ship they find is from this time period. And Bones is still like very hesitant about using the transporter, and they have to be beamed around a lot. And they talk about nobody really beamed anything on during the time of the ship except, transport materials, not people. So it made me think about Enterprise and how they were talking about the transporter. And I just loved that little tiny connection.
Yeah.
Because Archer wouldn't even do his dog. So that tells you something.
Also, I think we've learned something from this too, is never let Trip pile a shuttle.
Oh my God.
Because he twice now he scratched the paint.
Yes.
It's like, oh God, don't let him drive. What are you guys doing? Let him engineer it. Don't let him drive. He fixes them. He doesn't drive them. I mean, come on. That was classic.
Dude.
And he's really trying to figure out like a crash course. And he's like, well, how complex is it? It's up, down, left, right. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
there's a lot of buttons on that fucking thing. There's a lot of buttons on a spacecraft.
He's all pulling a Britney Spears. Oops, I did it again.
And it's like, what's that blinking red light? Oh, don't worry about that. That's okay. That comes on all the time.
Yeah.
It's like your engine lights on. Don't worry about that. That light comes on all the time. We're driving just fine. Yeah.
That's normal. That means a good thing.
That's a good, If that light goes out, that's when you have to worry, because then somebody has to change the bulb.
That's right.
It was so cool when Boomer was testing him on the thing, and when he finally got it right, he actually lit up like a little child. It's that button, right? Is that like, it's like, yeah. Well, go see, I told you I could fly.
When he says, bring the docking interface online, very carefully he reached out and pushed that particular button. And he's not like he's pushing it with determination. He's like, I think it's that one. That's not how you want to fly a starship around.
Yeah, but there's this subtleness, which I enjoy, because the Suliban, you see, they all like parkour people. And they're all like slide, and they go like in and out of a NASCAR. And when that thing docked, it wasn't where you can just walk out normally. It's like you had to kind of slide out. Only the bottom half of the door opened.
I love the way the door opened up when they docked in. Like your front, it was a frontward facing door. You don't see that very often in our door interfaces for vehicles.
Yeah.
It was kind of unusual. It looked really cool.
It did, and it was nice. And when they finally get to the Klingon, is this still this section?
Yeah, I think so.
I think
Okay,
so.
when they finally get to the Klingon, he wakes up.
They had a lot of blue lights on that thing. I just, a lot of blue lighting when they're walking around that place.
It was a blue light special.
Yeah.
Well,
That's right.
Did you guys notice the ship? It looked like a whole bunch of little ships put together to make one big ship. That reminded me of the stacks from Ready Player One, where they put all of the... Yeah, so I'm like, oh, look, the space stacks.
Yeah, very cool similarities.
And Ready Player 2's coming out.
Oh, yeah, part 2. Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it should be really good.
The book was much better than the movie, though.
I read the second book, too. It was really good.
Oh, I need to read it.
Did you guys notice when they first get on the Helix and they start walking around, and the Archer sees that first Suliban and he shoots him, and he's like, stun seems to work.
Yeah, that was pretty. That was a great line. It's a classic line. I'm surprised you don't hear it more often. It's like, we got your new phase pistols, and they've got, this is for stun and this is for kill. It will be best not to confuse them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great advice.
And when they found Klang, though, I mean, Klang would not shut the fuck up. Dude, it's a rescue mission.
Oh, yeah.
That's Tiny Lester. He was trying to talk.
Shut up.
Yeah, you can't shut Tiny Lester up. You make Tiny a Klingon? No way.
You got the one guy that won't be quiet when it's time to be quiet. They're always talking hella loud. It's like, shut up! It's like, yeah.
Like, a rescue mission, quiet.
Hey, he is the president. He can speak loudly.
Oh, no, he had a voice. He had a voice, man. That dude was something else.
Multipass.
I love the way, they're sneaking about with their phasers and stunning and here and there. And a Suliban sneaks up from behind, and the Klingon grabs him and is just like, it knocks the fuck out of him. He's just like, bam, Took care of that.
I thought he was going to snap his neck, but he just ended up punching him out.
Yeah, but that was quick, and I mean that was just as effective as a stun pistol.
That's why it's good to have a Klingon on your away team.
Yeah.
He looked like impressed. It's like, whoa, that Klingon picked up that Suliban and tossed him around like a rag doll.
Yeah. Well, Suliban, they're not very heavy set. They're pretty lightweight. They're genetically engineered themselves to have a nice figure, right? But they're also lightweight as, the fucking toothpicks.
They're all melty. They melt easily.
They don't have to worry about Jenny Craig.
Exactly.
They're lizard people.
Melty lizard people. That was my description.
One of my favorite quotes in this section was when Archer was like, "Go tighter." And then the response was, "We're already on a tight beam, Captain. I don't know if we could get any tighter." I'm like, you people said this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Because we're on a tight beam most of the time, so we can get rid of HR.
We like to keep our beams tight.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if we could get any tighter.
But again, we see that Archer himself always is putting his crew and everybody else ahead of himself. He's like, get out of here. I'll find a way off the ship. The main thing is to get
And then he demagnetizes himself.
Yeah, he puts the thing on there.
That demagnetizer was like super powerful. Like I thought it was going to knock away one or two pods maybe. And like it took out every fucking pod. I was like, everything demagnetized. I'm like, holy shit. Somebody's going to notice that they're there.
And then he's walking around and then he finds the wibbly wobbly timey-wimey room.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
That was an acid trip. There were some flashbacks in there, man. I'm telling you.
I think, is that in the next section?
Yeah.
Not to be the next section guy, but I think that was in the next section.
Okay. Stop, reverse.
I guess it's time for the next section.
Pretty much. I mean, we got all the bits. I mean, Trip bumped the pod and, the Vulcans were 2 days away, but no, we got to do it ourselves. So, and then, we're not going to just transport him because we risked too much to just bring him back inside out. That was hilarious. I bolded that comment. That was a good one. That's how much they trusted the transporter. Even Archer said, we're not going to bring him back inside out.
Okay, Act 7, mission accomplished. Trip returns to the Enterprise with the wounded Klingon, while Archer, still on the exploding ship, finds the Shadow Lord's chamber and gets in a duel with one of his minions. But he is saved in the nick of time when the Enterprise crew does a flyby and transports his ass back to the ship. Wait, transporters aren't supposed to be used for that. Archer wouldn't even put his dog through that. The Enterprise returns the Klingon to the home planet, in which he tells his people that he is ready to die. And Archer gets a look on his face like, not after everything we've been through to rescue you and bring you back. The Klingons examine his blood, and then everyone erupts into shouts as they celebrate that this is the correct Klingon with the classified information stored in his DNA. Back on Enterprise, Archer notifies them that they are going to continue their mission in outer space. Archer asks T'Pol to stay as their science officer, and she agrees, and they move on to the next planet.
So they bring Clang on board, and all I kept thinking was, clang, 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 went the trolley.
Very Klingon of you, sir. A true warrior's song.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
We get a chance to see with the Suliban and the trippy, I just dropped some mushrooms room.
The wibbly wobbly timey wimey room.
Strobe light. I like the strobe light room before the timely wibbly wobbly room because it was like, it's like a Nine Inch Nails concert, but it's not. But lots of strobe lights first, and then he gets into the crazy room where and Trip really adapted to it very well. And the funny thing about it all is he's having the conversation with the bad guy while he's trying to hunt him down, kind of diehardish. Mm-hmm. And of course, he kept calling him by his first name, John. It was like, may I call you John? It was like Die Hard 3, where the bad guy called John McClane John all the time with the accent. It kind of, so Die Hard keeps tripping up.
I think he just said that was Trip and it was Archer.
Yeah.
Sorry. You're right. I was tripping. That was Archer.
Tripping so much he says trip.
Acid
trip.
To trip.
But yeah, and I wrote down Trip. That's why.
Never pay attention to your notes.
Bad Rocky. Bad note taking right there. But yeah, Archer adapted to it very well. Even the bad guy saying, don't fire that in here. That's not going to be a good idea. And then, of course, they get into the fisticuffs and he loses the weapon and the bad guy picks it up and tries to blow away Archer. And the reason why is because the timey-wimey wibbly-wobbly room isn't very cool with phase pistols because it really, really slows down the effect. So Archer's able to dodge a freaking light show coming out of the phaser because everything's
and the reverb is like, deadly. Boom. Boom.
Yeah.
And he knew about the reverb.
He adapted so quickly.
Yep. He knew about when he hit it to ride the wave to knock the Suliban out behind it. So that was good. The only little thing that kind of bothers me about this part is that he finds out that there's a temporal thing going on, and there's no mention that he talked about it in his report to Starfleet.
Yes. That bugged me too.
Well, at this point in Star Trek land, the time temporal thing is not normal. We don't talk about that.
But still, that would be in an after action report. You would say, like, if I was on the combat somewhere and then we had a guy that came out with technology that was obviously not of the time, that you better believe that's going to be in my report.
But would they think that you're a crazy person? I mean,
if he's wibbly wobbly timey wimey, he may not remember that he was wibbly wobbly timey wimey.
That's true.
Well,
maybe. But it's like if you're the Apollo astronauts and you're launched over to the moon and you happen to see a UFO. Do you like come right out and mention that, or
you do, but you do it on your medical. You do it on your medical line,
or does it become a History Channel story decades later? I mean,
Project Blue Book.
I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was definitely aliens.
Yeah. I mean, so does Archer, like, I mean, the funny thing is, I guess at some point he does definitely talk more and more about this, but then it's hard to convince the Vulcan, because the Vulcan's like, there's no such thing as time travel.
I think that's lame. You would think
that's later on. That's later on.
Vulcans, you would think that they would go, like, we've been out in outer space for a long time. We understand physics. Of course, there's a time thing going on, but no.
Well, logically speaking, that, time is linear probably to them. It's not linear. It's not
well, it's either that or it's the same thing with warp technology. They kind of don't want the humans to really get into the warp technology, so they kind of cock blocked them. They warp blocked them with not sharing all the details. So maybe it's the same thing with time travel, because if the humans knew about time travel, think of all the shit they could mess up. We've had entire series based off of this crap. I mean, the time travel thing.
Yeah.
Well, we know that the Klingons know about it.
Well, yeah, the Klingons do.
Yeah, because remember in Discovery, which happens around that time, they had the keeper for the crystals, the time crystals.
Yeah.
And they said it was banned. So
I wonder if maybe it's kind of like disinformation within the Vulcans, or do they really believe that there's no such thing as time travel?
They probably don't trust humans.
This is a deeper question for a future episode, because
that if you tell people the same lie over and over again for long enough, they will believe it.
Yep.
We have seen that.
Yep.
In the 20th
over and over again.
Century.
It was definitely, and I'm glad to see that they were able to make the mission. And there's been rumors that we have stuff presently encoded into our DNA, because they said there's way more information in our DNA that our body uses. And so some people think that we have our manufacturing ID stamped in it in our DNA.
Yeah, yours is rejected though.
But yeah, the Suliban like to modify genetically. This particular brand of Suliban, they like to tweak stuff out. Okay, so but then at the end, we see the way that the Klingon has the data encoded is in the DNA. That was a trick we actually saw happen in Star Trek Next Generation. I don't remember this precise episode it was, but that was something the Klingons could do, was smuggle information through their blood with the DNA encoded. It's a cool way to smuggle data, but it's fascinating that the Klingons would choose this method to carry data back and forth, because, Klingons like to get bloody a lot. So what happens if you get let alone a finger cut, but, a full on, they chop an arm off or something, that's bloody, right? So what if you happen to lose the little part of blood that actually had the data encoded?
So that's why they were trying to explode the silo, the corn silo, because then there'd be little drops of blood everywhere.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. But I think that was really cool that that's a method of, they don't have USB sticks. They've got blood.
Well, it's easy. There's no way to be able to take something off someone or to steal it without their knowledge. You got to kill them.
Yeah.
And with the Klingon, they didn't know how he was carrying the information. It just said he had it, or else they would have killed him. They were trying to drug him to get him to talk.
Don't bend over. Claim. Don't bend over.
Clang with it. Mm-hmm. There was an episode in Next Gen called The Chase where it dealt with DNA, and it was Cardassians, the Klingons, and the humans, and they all had some DNA samples, and they had to they combined them, but I don't remember what the result was. But they had DNA fragments that were once you put them together, it was like a complete end program. So I don't know.
Oh, was that the one where they discovered that long time ago that they took bits of DNA and it evolved on different planets, different ways, but there's a commonality between all the races because that's what it all comes back to? They look at the code and it all goes back to that time that they were all from the same source?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's the one. Yeah.
That's an interesting theory.
We're all one.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, if everything started with the Big Bang and all the elements of life are in the Big Bang, then we're all made of the same stuff. We may look differently, and we may, yeah, we're all made of stardust. So we would have some genetic similarity to a Klingon or to our Cardassian or, even a founder.
Okay, so can someone explain Discovery Klingons to me? Because I still can't wrap my hand around that.
It's a hairstyle thing.
Wasn't it a virus?
They should have just changed the name.
No, there was a couple of things. The virus was the reason why they had looked like human in the beginning when it came to Star Trek, while some of them looked like human. What happened is that before, when Klingons went to war, they shaved their head. So that was in the beginning time. So that's why all the Klingons we saw during Discovery were bald. After they enter a point where they were no longer fighting, they grew their hair out. That's why in the second season, you see that they all, Mary Chieffo and all of them started to have hair again. So that's why all of them looked the way they did and why they were all bald. That's
Klingons have hairy armpits.
The Klingon uniforms, though, I mean, if you've got a miscontinuity here, because in Enterprise, they look like your classic Klingon still. Classic being Next Generation style, DS9 style Klingon uniform. But then you go to Discovery, which is after Enterprise, and you've got the new style Klingons. And then you go forward in the timeline, and you got Next Generation, and then they're wearing the uniform again. So it is I'm sure it was a lot of fun to redesign the Klingons, but it's a huge continuity problem and a style thing. I love the classic Klingon look, with the movie style Klingon look, because in the original series they didn't entirely dress like that either.
Isn't that like sin number one of fandom? Is don't go against the canon?
Yeah, I mean it's an issue.
There's a way you can fix that easily, just with one word. Multiverse.
There you go.
Multipass.
It's all cool. It's all sci-fi to me. I mean, Star Trek is Star Trek, so I don't really care what they're wearing on it. If it's Star Trek, it's genuinely Star Trek. So I'm good.
As Rocky told me before over drinks, as long as they keep the Orion women green, he doesn't care.
That's right. The second you get a purple Orion, you gotta hold on a second.
That's just weird. Yeah. Let's not do that.
But purple butterfly eater, that's okay.
My mind's blown.
You saw when they decided to use the transporter, getting back to the storyline a little bit, that when they finally decided to beam Archer on board, the look of incredulousness on his face where they picked him up mid-run.
It was so freaking hysterical.
It's beautiful.
Was priceless.
The look on his face is like, and he's reaching over and he's like, oh my God, I'm still here, but I'm here. And I'm pretty sure if they let that scene carry on just a little bit longer, he'd reach down to make sure his junk was still there. Because,
he would have been like, how dare you? And then he punched one of them. But we saved
It would have been great if it was like, it would like be like Galaxy Quest. It's like, did you beam somebody else over first? Yes. It was inside out and exploded.
It exploded.
Yeah. Yes. I was thinking Mel Brooks in Spaceballs when his head is beamed on backwards. And he's like,
why did anyone tell me my ass was this big? Yeah.
So that was funny. For a first episode, I think they were extremely ambitious to do what they did.
Oh wow,
they had a lot going on.
And I was looking at the notes online. They have some of the production notes, and I guess if you get the Blu-rays, you get a little bit of this too. But they were talking about how complex some of the work they did and how quickly they did some of this work on this episode. It was blowing my mind. And that scene with the transporter thing at the last second with Archer, they had a lot of effects going on with that, with the timey-wimey room. And then on top of that, you've got to beam Archer out, but he's not standing still. He's running down a hallway straight at the camera and getting shot at with a weapon. So to track all those visual effects was very challenging, and it was the hardest effect shot to do in the whole show for this first episode.
I can imagine, because computers then wasn't nowhere near as powerful as they are now.
I mean, and they were pushing it, but this is after Star Trek Voyager, which had a lot of visual effects too. But the effects industry was getting mature, definitely enough to be able to do these kinds visual effects on a TV show level. I mean, the TV shows were doing it more than the movies, actually, but it was still ambitious and aggressive and really cool. But man, they had their work cut out for them when they did this episode.
Oh, show.
Useless information, useless trivia information for you. In the next generation, all the computer screens and everything that you see, all the touch panels, were on Macs. They were all done on Macintosh computers. They were on Apples.
Oh,
I wonder, well, hey, that's why the Enterprise ones look so funky to me, because they don't look Macintosh-like.
Yeah.
Because they look like that. All the flat screens are like, it looks like somebody went to the IBM store and bought the standard IBM monitor and plucked them down everywhere. And I mean, usually this kind of stuff, I mean, if you look at today's shows, they're like built into the sets. They're just screens on the panel. I mean, it's not an actual monitor. It's not like you run down and you go to Best Buy and pick up a gaming monitor and plug it down on the table or mount it on the wall. You know, stuff is built into things now. But yeah, all these monitors were physical and, you know, sitting on a table. It was kind of weird to me. We were talking about the visual effects, and my sister said the last episode about something about the monitors. This was something that at that time definitely triggered me, not just because they were plucking down standard monitors on the wall, but also the interface, you could tell, had the soft key buttons, because you could see the squares down the right side of the screen, or the rectangles. It's like a touchpad interface, but it was like early 90s feeling touchpad interface, and this was done in the 2000 era, so it felt old fashioned to me, but they still tried to make it look new. It was kind of a weird miscongruity that the design didn't quite work for me, especially for Star Trek, when we're used to the slick style of Next Gen, and Voyager.
Well, to me, I enjoyed it because it throws back to how it was still kind of industrial, military ship with the gray coloring and the panels and the sharp angles and everything. So it was.
They did a lot of cool stuff. I mean, it was a lot of cool stuff, especially. I mean, you watch T'Pol walking into Archer's room. She had to take multiple steps because there was multiple levels because they're jumping up and down. The little things like that is like, this ship was not designed to be the most perfect, sleek starship in the world. No. It was put together by, the military style. It wasn't a Starfleet vessel.
It's version 1.
It's version 1.0,
Rough
maybe
draft.
0.9.
Yep.
They're still figuring it out.
Even the phaser cannons weren't embedded. They popped out turrets.
Right.
I mean, they had popped out, and the grappling, they had grappling hooks. I mean, who has grappling hooks nowadays? That was amazing. Yeah.
No tractor beams and grappling hooks. Nope.
And that warp drive had big ass dials on it. Like, you had to make big levers to move.
And no shield. They had hull plating.
Yeah. You had to polarize your hull plating. That's like, I'll just put on an extra piece of clothing to protect me against this weapon. Instead of a bulletproof vest, I'll just put on a jacket, Now,
science-wise, the reason you polarize or polahating is because if you have a weapon that's coming at you and is positively charged, and if you go ahead and have another positively charged object, it's going to help repel it. So this way the damage isn't as much. So that's what they mean when they say they polarize the hull, is to be able to nullify the effect of something hitting it. But once is
that why you're polarized against women? You repel them?
I swear I'm going to find that connection and I'm going to boot you out of there. That's wait. I'm gonna drug you and I'm gonna put you in a holodeck and make you think you're on a different planet by yourself.
An escape room.
We're gonna lock you in the room and force you to listen to the credits music from this episode over and over again because it was an instrumental version of Faith of the Heart and it sounded like it was coming through Muzak.
Oh God! Now I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head all day.
It's the worst earworm.
Oh, have nothing but Bernies all around you. But this was definitely a good episode. We're beginning to run long on time here, and Mr. Hall has to run an errand. He's going over to Risa to drop some stuff off for us because Heather's ran out of her gels. So
I didn't want you to tell everyone that.
Oh, sorry about that. Patty?
That rash will clear up pretty soon, Heather.
I got some gel you can use, if you want. I got a little left over.
Yes, Captain. I'm paying attention to you, sir.
Yes, thank you. I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Since that Tribble Bikini outfit that you made looks kind of good, we can look into see if we can get that trademark.
Oh, great.
I guarantee that will be the new fashion craze across everywhere.
That sounds perfect. I'm very excited.
Is it Tribble or is it actually hair?
I don't know, and I didn't ask.
I really like the one you did, the yellow one, the polka dot bikini. I saw one.
Right. And then if you press the right button, it tribbles and vibrates. These are really
exciting.
good options.
That's a double feature right there.
Yeah, there you go.
And I love the point if someone stares at your naughty bits too long, they start screaming to let them know.
It's just like a Klingon. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So I think that's
an alarm.
awesome.
Perv alarm.
Got some Klingons around Uranus.
I'm trying to think of everything.
So you're walking down the hall, you hear it scream, and you can turn around and go, "Stop looking at my ass."
That's
Patrick,
right.
will you stop it?
I'm not looking at anyone's ass.
Well, he does everybody's ass. You look at everybody's ass.
He's looking at the
don't even try
captains.
it. Oh my God.
No.
Please, no.
No.
That's not going to happen.
Not in your lifetime.
All
Parallel
of my underwear
universe.
says exit only. Sorry, all my
I mean,
underwear
why would I
says
want to look
exit
at a black
only.
hole?
So, hey, because you're afraid you'll get sucked in. So shut up.
Not
Good movie, Black Hole. Good movie.
Seriously. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. And Patty,
Yes, sir.
thank you for once again being a guest on our ship. It's been
Thanks
a
for
pleasure.
having
And
me.
Rocky's been behaving himself when you're on board.
Good. Someone's got to.
I'm a professional.
Sure.
At what, I have no idea.
And Heather, you were getting ready to say something.
I was just going to talk about the rim, but it's okay.
It's better not to go there, I
The
think.
rim. Is it the Pacific Rim or is it the Southern Pacific Rim?
Don't be talking about rims.
Leave the outer rim alone.
Well, since we were talking about black holes, you know.
No rim jobs.
Yeah.
Well, if you get too close to the rim, you will get sucked in. So there's always that.
Safety first,
And
everyone.
scene.
Yes. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And we look forward to next week. Our homework is going to be the second episode for Enterprise. So eventually you'll know the song by heart and you'll either hate it or wind up loving it.
Despise
Already
it.
hate it.
There is the skip
Hate
button.
it, hate it, hate it.
I won't be with you guys next week because I'm moving, so I will see you the following week.
Well, why are you going from deck to deck? What's wrong with the quarters you have?
They're too small.
Did you mess up your quarters again? I hope they don't have to clean it up all.
Well, they're going to, because when he moved in there, the ceilings were nice and clear, but now they look like stucco. So I don't know what the hell he's been shooting up at the ceiling during this private time, but
There's a bunch
we
of
need to
stuff
redo
stuck
the
up
room.
there. There's even a couple tribbles
I know.
stuck up there.
Oh my God.
I saw
Don't
that.
look at the ceiling.
And
Don't look at the
scene.
ceiling.
Oh, there's a mirror over there.
And when you pick your nose, don't keep wiping it on the bulkhead and then paint it over. That's not good.
I
Is
don't
that
actually
what
look at the
that
ceiling.
is?
Bumpy.
It's texture.
Yeah,
That's
it's
stucco.
bumpy now.
That's stucco. Yeah.
It's bumpy.
I flick them at the ceiling.
I imagine. So thanks everyone for joining us. Please make sure that you stay safe. And I was getting ready to say something and I forgot the image.
Don't
of
have a
Patrick.
good week.
Insert shot of Bernie.
Yeah, there you go. He came into my quarters. Remember, not just don't have a great week, but make it so.
Starfleet Underground, beaming into a podcast feed near you. Log on to our website at starfleetunderground.com and send your comments and questions to thecollective@starfleetunderground.com. Follow us on Twitter at StarfleetUnderG and on Facebook and Instagram, we're Starfleet Underground.